In our last video, we got this Thunder Nova 35 through our doorway and into our office, but now it is time to set this up. There is kind of a process of doing this, so I thought I would share that with you. Let's get started setting it up.
I'll start off by saying you want to make sure that you have a 20 amp outlet. We had an electrician come and run this before we actually even got the laser. That was one of the first steps, to make sure you have a 20 amp outlet on a dedicated breaker. We also had to cut a hole in our wall. This was to vent out, and we just put in one of the commercial dryer vents with the little flapper. It works great so far. We're starting by setting up the chiller. You want to unscrew the top on it. This is where we're going to put in the water, and yeah, you just want to make sure that you get some distilled water. It actually took about a gallon of water for this. We used a little funnel and a water bottle, tried to make it a little bit easier, and we just started filling it up. And you'll see that there is a little guide for as far as where you want to do it. I'll say while you watch this go up here that this video isn't sponsored by Thunder. They're not paying me to say anything, but they did offer me a discount in exchange for making a series of videos here. So yeah, this is sped up a little bit, but once we got it up here, up kind of in the upper edge of the normal, that's where we stopped on this. We didn't get up to the full line, and then we just tighten this. Now get your little toolbox that comes with the laser, and you will want to get out these two white hoses here. This is going to be for the chiller, and then there's also a power cable for the chiller, and then the alarm cable. Make sure that you get all of those out. We're going to start by hooking up the power cable. Plugs into the chiller there on the kind of the top right hand side. Then use the other end, and you'll look on the back of the machine there, and there is a spot. It is clearly labeled. All of this is labeled well, but just stick it in there, twist it, it kind of clicks in and it locks in there. Next, we're going to start on the inlet and outlet. I'm going to go ahead and take all these off here, get this all ready, and then you will notice that it slides right in. There's two different sizes on this end, so make sure you get the right one. Tighten it down into the output on the alarm, and then it shows you there, alarm outlet. So like I said, everything's very well labeled. Just make sure that you tighten this in, and that's all you have to do for that. See the color coding on the inlet and outlet? They've done a great job with this. All you're going to have to do is just match these up here, and to do that, you just take your tubing and slide it on. We're going to start with the outlet here, and just, it takes a little bit of pressure. You want to make sure you get it on there, which is great. You want it tight, so just follow the orange to the orange. That's the easiest way to tell you, but it's the outlet on the chiller, and it goes to the inlet on there. So, and from the inlet on the chiller, of course, goes to the outlet on the machine. But it's easy to do. It's nothing difficult at all. Just make sure that you press it on there and it is on there securely. If you do that, you'll be good to go. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn on the power. It doesn't do anything right now, but just go ahead and turn it on. Now we're going to move on to the little fan, or the air compressor that comes with it. Make sure and save this styrofoam. You don't want to lose it. We'll use that later, so don't cut it or get rid of it. But we're going to go ahead and open up this little air compressor that comes with this, and it does have some tubing in here, and then comes with this little plastic piece here. I haven't used that, so I don't think that we'll be using this, but just hang on to it. You might as well, at least. But we're going to go ahead and take out this little air compressor, or air pump you might call it, and go ahead and remove all the plastic here and get it ready. This just screws into the end of it. Pretty self-explanatory here. You just want to tighten it pretty good with hand there. Get it tight, and then we're going to take this and stick it right into the back, which is labeled again, and pull on it, tug on it, make sure it's tight. But if you just slide it in there, it automatically just kind of stays in there. Then go ahead and put the little air pump down into that styrofoam. This will help to reduce some noise, some vibration. We're going to take the power cable, reach over here to the back left of the machine, and you'll see where it says output air compressor, and just plug that in there. Now we're moving on to the fan. This is the blower that comes with it. So when you open it up, you will see that it comes with some of these vents, and there are 2 of them. So make sure that you get both of them out of the box. You will have to use both of them. So make sure that you get both of those out and ready. And then we are going to remove this fan. It is pretty heavy, so just try to get it out of that best you can. Save that styrofoam piece. We will be needing that as well. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get this fan out of the box here and try to get it set up. Let's see if there's anything else in the box. There are some little brackets here, the fasteners. Hang on to those, because those is what you tighten on your hoses to. They're hose clamps, I believe you called. Now, this is some of the most difficult part of this whole setup here, was trying to get these on. I'm going to tell you, I worked for a good while trying to get this hose over the outlet on the back of the machine, and once you finally get it over there, you will want to tighten down the hose clamp. That toolbox comes with the Thunder. Yeah, it's got pretty much everything you need in it. But yeah, just slide the clamp up there, and once you get it around there, go ahead and tighten it down. That way the clamp will stay, or the clamp will help hold this hose on the back of the exhaust outlet there. So go ahead and tighten that up and get it pretty secure. Next, we're going to slide a clamp over the hose now before we stick it onto the fan. And be careful, because this is sharp edge on that fan, and I'm not going to lie, I spent a lot of time trying to get this on here. It was getting frustrating, but yeah, I had to move it all around and work it the best I could. It was just a pretty difficult part of this process. I don't know how I could have made it any easier, but finally I got it on there, and just tighten up the hose clamp again and make sure that it is secure to the fan. And then of course you have to do it on the outlet side of the fan, and yes, it was pretty much just as much trouble as any of the others were. After a lot of work, time, and I don't cuss, but I was pretty upset. Yeah, I finally got it. We're going to go ahead and set the fan down into the styrofoam piece that was included for it. Got it kind of popped in there. Next, we are going to go and going to work on this part of it. And once again, this was horrible. And I was trying to get it on here and trying to get it clamped, and it just was not fitting. So you see that duct tape? I actually resorted to using duct tape, which I later came back and used some of the foil tape and fixed it the way that it was supposed to be. But yeah, we ended up having to go inside the little hose there. And then you just plug up the fan to the output on the back of the laser. And at this point, we're going to open the back of it. If it's locked, use your keys, and we're going to get to the actual laser tube. And you'll see some packaging material here, some foam for shipping. They wrap this up here with some foam, and you want to make sure and remove that. So yeah, just carefully remove the foam. There was 2 pieces in mine. I assume that's the way it'd be with yours, but just make sure that you get both of those removed. Next, go back to the toolbox and you will see the power cable. This is the main power cable for the unit. Plugs in, just stick it in there and twist it. It locks in, tug on it to make sure, and then plug in that 20 amp plug there to your outlet. Once you got it plugged in and in place, we're going to lock the wheels. Now we're starting the leveling process. You just want to unscrew this, and it looks kind of bent, but that's just because of the wide angle camera. But just kind of unscrew it till it touches the floor, till it gets on the floor there, and then we're going to make sure that it is level. So once it touches the floor, we're going to get our level and put it on the gantry arm there of the laser. And if it's not level, then you want to tighten it down some more, but this turned out pretty easy for us and we had it level. Make sure and pull off the plastic there off of the controller. We're going to raise the light, and then this emergency stop button, just pull up on it and it pops open. Now we are going to reach down here and turn on the main switch. When you do, the laser will light up, and it'll make some noises. And then you'll also notice that your controller screen will also light up. It's ready to go. Now we're going to do our test. We are going to hit the little right arrow and make sure that everything moves correctly, and then we'll go to the down arrow to move this. We want to do this pretty much all 4 directions here, just to make sure that everything is moving properly. And as you can hear, it does make some noise, and yeah, so we just want to make sure all the movement is correct here and that everything is freely moving. And then the little bed, we're going to raise the bed of it up, make sure that it is working properly, and of course it was. And after we raised the bed up, then we also hit the little down arrow and we lowered the bed all the way as well. But I ain't gonna make you watch all of that. Everything worked perfectly for us. Now we're going to close the lid on this, and now we're going to turn on the laser here. So now we have the laser turned on. You'll notice the chiller comes on. So once the chiller comes on, then you're ready to go. But yeah, so you have to turn on that laser separately from the main switch. This is a good time to check the laser tube, make sure there isn't any air bubbles that are in it. And if there are air bubbles, then you can squeeze this tube and it will remove the air bubbles. But ours look pretty good here, so I think we're ready to go. We're going to put a piece of material in here. You'll see the red dot laser. We're going to line it up and do a pulse test. This is going to make sure everything's working properly. So we're going to close the lid. We're going to go over to the controller, hit the pulse, and you'll notice it burned the spot and it's good to go.
As you can see now, we have this Thunder Nova 35 kind of set up and ready for the next step, and that is going to just kind of depend on which software you're using and also which type of computer system, whether it's Mac or Windows or whatever. So all of those things will affect kind of how you set up your software and what you're going to be using. So we're going to kind of stop this setup process here. This is pretty much all set up except for the software installation and actually connecting this to the software. So there's different ways that you can do that, so that will kind of depend. But this was the setup process of this, and there were several steps to it, but it wasn't horrible. It took us a little bit longer simply because we were filming it, but anyway, so yeah, it's set up. We're anxious to get the software installed and actually make our first engrave or our first cut on this machine, and we'll be able to share that video with you as well. This is considerably different than our other laser, which is a glow forge. So there will be a little bit of a learning curve for us to kind of get over, and once we kind of get over that, we'll be rolling on this machine and excited to get this into use. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And until next time, God bless.